That is just really something I'm going to leave behind.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go.
Well, we've got one other place that we have never been to before in Clarksville, and we are here. It says Antique Mall on the front, and its real name is Second Chances Antiques and Treasures. I suppose we can all use a second chance. So let's give some stuff a second chance right now. It might have a third chance with me. Never filmed here, and I understand it's a little better quality, so let's see what they've got. Oh, okay. Hello. Well, this place definitely has big booths and some real nice furniture and a focus on that, as you can see. The first place we walk into has this very interesting IBM time clock. And this is very strange. It almost looks like a Wheel of Fortune, but I guess you had different numbers that you put in there and then you turned and it would stamp out something saying you were there when you were supposed to be. Oh, the blue glass, yes. This is probably Murano. It definitely seems to have the right foot. It also doesn't seem to have a whole lot of wear, and it has that greasy feel of newer glass, so I think it's a newer piece.
How's your head?
Well, hers is full of flowers. And this one, Bedford, Ohio Potteries, you don't see this mark very often at all. It's actually National Potteries. Yes, when it was new, it was probably $2, and that was probably considered kind of expensive. But that's NAPCO, National Potteries, when they were first starting to import. And then this is really cool. You can see it's the old Chevy logo, and it's for economical transportation. This would be about 1930.
Not cool is the price.
Well, you know, they're hard to find, but yes, that's definitely up there, but it's a nice looking piece. These folks have a little bit of old car advertising and related stuff. Quite a curious little tea set in the basket here with all the metal parts. Screw to remove. This looks like something that would have been a travel case from maybe about 1940. I'm sure the cups were put in there, but they are the right era. And that's really kind of clever. You know, back in the early days of automotive, people would drive their car out and there weren't restaurants or roadside things or anything. You just had to bring it all with you. Old Atlas tires, part of a tire stand. It's missing one half though. And that's a neat old Swan hood ornament from a Packard that's been mounted as a paperweight. Neat stuff in here, but nothing that is going to come home with me price-wise. Selling out. I'm not sure who's selling out. They look like they're on some sort of a carriage ride together. That's $85. It is a smoking stand. This would have been cigarettes back here, actually, and then matches in here and probably a snuffer in there. Well, here's one of the golden eggs by Sasha Brastoff. It's got the signature, not a full signature, so he didn't personally make it. It came from the factory, but still should be worth about $30 to $35. Let's see what we can find that's a little unusual. Walt Disney's Davy Crockett. That's an early Disney thing, the little wallet back there from the 50s. I'm sure there's not many of those left because they were all used to death naturally. Here's a Dial a Phrase collection stamp. So it says, long past due, please remit. Come on, deadbeat, send us the money you owe us.
This is cute.
Oh, that is cute. Yes, this is a little turn-of-the-century condiment set. So you've got a salt, pepper, and a little sauce jar with a lid that would have had a spoon in it there.
Lots of companies made those quilted sets. I think Consolidated did that particular pattern.
This place is a little more to the decorative, and so I see some things that, like this space on this side looks antique, but most of it really isn't very old. and yet the next space down looks like it mostly is. So it's just going to kind of vary depending on where we are. Ooh, dreadful dolls. Hand painted so everyone is one of a kind. Now, aren't those lovable? I've had a bunch of people tell me lately that they really love dolls. I don't think they had these in mind, but someone is having a lot of fun. And these probably are these more recent porcelain dolls that really don't have a lot of value, so what a fun thing to do with them. This little bar set I thought was kind of fun because it's got all of these glass stirrers in it as well as everything else, and so that's the reason it's $40, and it's cute. It's going to be about 1950s with that design. Down here is something that might be overlooked and hopefully will be inexpensive. It is Metlock's Carl Romanelli from around the Second World War, and they only have $10 on it because it says made in USA, but they don't realize this is about a $35 piece, so there's our first buy. There's always something if you look hard enough. And then I guess this is supposed to be Rin Tin Tin. That is just really something I'm going to leave behind. Drink and dance with the Del Mars at Ken's Tap. I don't know who the Del Mars were. It was a disco bar located in Decatur, Illinois, it says. Wall pocket, yes, this one's very Japanese looking because it's got the torii gates. Yes, exactly. 1930s, only $16, but I find that the ones that are a very typically Asian motif don't really sell because the people who want that motif want things that were made for domestic market, not to be sent over here. This is a very large and really cool Nutcracker. I'm going to set this down for a minute. It has a replaced handle, but it is a lion head, and I will hold it up where we can see it a little better. The lion seems to be swallowing the thing that is actually going to crack the nuts underneath. And it is very heavy, but it is original. It's just been repainted and the new handle put on. The new handle, unfortunately, dissuades me. Otherwise, I think that would be a buy at $65. Dayglow 1960s Bugs Bunny. I'm not sure who that little rabbit below him is supposed to be. But you know rabbits. They're always multiplying. Camel here is another cigarette stand, and this one likely dates to the 1930s. It doesn't have any mark at all. It's priced at $18.50 actually. They said McCoy question mark. It's definitely not a McCoy style. It's hard to say. It could be offshore. It's going to be from about 1950, I believe. So there's a good chance it's Japanese and that we just don't see the mark. People like to repurpose with these old surveyor staff stick. Now, it was $42. They've covered up the sign, and now it's none of the above. We're not sure how much it is. But people like these because of the big graphics, and sometimes they'll use them to trim out tables and things, just like they're using yardsticks to resurface tables and cupboards and things. A white rotary phone, $28. I like this guy. This is some American pottery. It would have been to hold eyeglasses back in the 1950s. His face is a little smushed looking. And yes, there is the roly-poly bear that makes noise, 1970s. This Whippet or Greyhound, $14. Oh yes, that's very 1980s. Anytime you see unicorns, that wasn't really something that we really saw displayed before that period of time. $55. It is a doorstop, and it is about 30-some years old. Somebody will remember this with nostalgia. It's got the mark right here, made in China. So,
but how old is it?
Not very.
You don't think it's 30 years?
It might be 30 years old. We've been getting stuff from China for about that long. I look at unicorn things and I think there'll be a time.
Why did someone put that there?
Well, it may be that a customer put it there actually. It's from a church. This would have been where you put the hymns, and this would have sat to the side of the pulpit so that you could follow along and sing the right songs. We'll put it back here where it'll be safe. This one is called As Found and As Is, and I have to say that does not actually encourage me to spend a lot of time in it. You know, I think when you're naming your business, you have to bear in mind that clever is one thing, but it also needs to say what you want about your business, or you might get in trouble. Somebody's dad spent a lot of time making that thing. It's got the military eagle with the globe in the middle and the horns. It is priced down to $250 at this point. It looks like it was done in the 1950s or 60s.
And I just wanted to take a quick break and thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying it, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Also, please do subscribe, because then you can click that bell to be notified of future videos. We have membership packages. There's a couple of different levels. We appreciate the support of our super fans who help us do extra bonus content. You can check that out by hitting the join button below or clicking the link in the description. To check out our new channel, the Antique Nomad Live, that's live with an exclamation point, where we're doing additional content of a live nature, hauls, sales, bonus stuff. We'll have a lot of fun there too. So check us out here on the Antique Nomad and also on the Antique Nomad Live. Now let's get back to this video.
Now, Tennessee collectors are known for liking traditional items as well, and so this blue and white porcelain, like this Flow Blue biscuit jar for $50, is something that we'd see here. $95 on that Orientalist piece from the 1880s or 90s from England. A lot of these pieces are English, even if they look otherwise. And the reason for that, of course, was the extreme interest in Asian art and artifact, and the fact that the English used the tea wrappers off of the Chinese porcelain to do their first transferware designs. This is rather an extensive collection, and then here is another table of it. The big feature here is this. This is Dalton Watteau. Watteau is the pattern. Dalton is Royal Dalton, and this was before they got the royal designation. You had to be someone who received the patronage of the royal family in order to use royal in your name in England. Well, here is a Sirocco clock, and this is plastic. So this is after it was purchased by Burwood, and they started doing plastic injection molding instead of the wood grain, and that's why you've got a quartz motor and the whole deal. Oh, let's see if it says 1969, as seen on The Price is Right. I'm sure that was one of the prizes. Now, this is something that I should show, because we do see these coming out in sales. When the clown phase in the 1970s was a thing, late 70s, early 80s, we saw a lot of these painted in New Orleans by this particular artist, Lachey, and this one's dated 1983. They tend to all be on this slate. They often have a big listing of information about Louisiana and the history of the area, and that the slate was removed from old buildings. And then Vivian and Pierre Lachey in Mississippi actually were making these, and they are collectible now. I think they usually sell for about $40 to $45, and this particular one is priced at $65, so that may be why it's still here. Hitching posts are really cool, and even just the cast iron heads can be worth $150 or more if they're Victorian, but this one isn't. You can see the big white seam, you can see a chip where the aluminum's exposed, so this is 1960s, but still worth something for decor. The lion here is universal statuary, also made of plastic, that same sort of 60s things. The lions are kind of cute. He's got some finish missing though, that's why he's still here, even though he's only $3. If he didn't have that problem, he'd probably come with me for that price. And then this here is one of these horses that little kids would ride. And you see these are plastic, and this is masonite, so you're looking at 1960s era. This is priced at $75. They're cute, but unless you have a little kid to use them, people haven't really figured out for many other uses for them. So this is French. This is a cordon bleu baking dish, and they're good quality, but the cordon bleu is a more recent mark, and they don't seem to be particularly collectible yet in and of themselves, but I think it's something that will be. A lot of these were done in the 80s, so it's the right era for people to start picking up. And just as soon as blue and white transferware was invented, other colors started to be done, and eventually we get red transferware. And a lot of people really like this because they can use it in a lot of holiday settings as well as for every day. This is Historic Castles by Royal Swan. There's a lot of companies, Johnson Brothers particularly, that are well known for various castle scenes. And then this pattern is Mason's Vista. This was really widespread in the 1960s. A lot was imported to America through the Forsman's catalog and other mail order operations. And so you can find this, and there's a lot of people in the States who collect it. These prices are pretty fair for what they've got. I would love Kermit if he was old. That is not old. Here is a space of entirely brand new things. Unfortunately, there is a lot of that in a lot of stores in the antique business these days. If you're really looking for antiques, make sure you know what you're looking at, because it's easy to be misled in places that advertise antiques and then sell new stuff. This is a nice little small chest, and I'm guessing that it might have been a music cabinet, because originally it had extra levels for you to put your sheet music in this way. This one's priced at $125. It's American oak from about 1900. It's interesting that someone used cane tips as furniture feet on that particular one. I wanted to show these because we see a lot of stuff that they made, and most of it isn't too collectible, but these striped pieces by Royal Sealy, which was Japanese from the 60s, actually do sell. This set is priced at $55, which is about right, because it's got the cream and sugar and all the mugs and the pitcher. It would have had a Royal Sealy sticker on it. This one is missing it, but it is indeed what it is. And I just think that they're kind of neat. Stripes and polka dots from the early 60s always seem to sell in housewares. Here we have a bunch of Cranberry and Cranberry flash glass, and I wanted to highlight this caster set. The caster sets were made to have various condiments, including castor, which was considered delicious in the Victorian era. But these have been reproduced, and this one's a reproduction. Here's how you tell. No wear at all on the bottom. Now granted, they were hanging in a caddy, but also no wear on that one, no scratches. Most caster sets have a few little chips on stoppers. Things got dropped easily. That one has a little wear, but again, the faceting is perfect. Everything is shiny, bright, including the holder, and that is all a bad sign for collectors. Now this, on the other hand, is electrified, which makes it sound like it was old, but this was really done around 1970, and it was done this way intentionally, so the price is probably about full retail. Well, I'm happy to see this because it is yellow. It is a wall phone. It seems to be intact. There's no one on the other end, but that is because it's missing the cord that would plug it in, but it's only $18, and in yellow, I've sold these for as much as $45 and $50. Now the question is, can I get the right attachment for this? They are the type that we use now, but I think it's a specific thing for a wall phone. So I'm probably going to have to do a little research to make sure I can get the right thing to make this work, but I'm tempted to buy it anyway because at this price, it could sell just for decorative. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get it, and then I'll find some way to make it work. And I'm sure it still does. These things are really indestructible. The phone company did not allow you to own your own phone at this time, which this may even have a date. Let's see if it does. Yes, November of 1974. So you would have had to rent this, and you would have paid extra for it being a color and a wall phone. So I'm sure they made it very well because they wanted it back at the end. Well, we have the full-on Sears 1970s kitchen aspect here because we have all of the Mary mushroom. The clock is especially good. It's $60, but it's a hard one to find, so that's kind of the top end of what it's worth, but they are selling for that. It was lightweight. It was made, a lot of it in Japan and Korea. It had to be lightweight to ship, so it's kind of flimsy. It does tend to break. You have to be really careful with it. And especially if you're buying it, you want to be careful to make sure that it's not cracked or chipped. They also did this guy here, Neil the Frog, although these look like they might have been made at home by somebody to look like Neil the Frog. They do not have the Sears label, and they're actually a little better and heavier quality. And then next to it we have this Sessions clock. Sessions were the low-end clock movements, so they got used in a lot of novelty clocks. They did a lot of novelty clocks. And this is a really cool surround with the cannon and cannonballs. It's priced at $100. I have not actually seen that one before.
Bell pulls made of tapestry are a beautiful thing that were found in Nordic and English-speaking cultures and continental Europe as well, particularly in the Victorian era where you would ring your servants. You'd be sitting down and couldn't be bothered to get up, so you just shook or pulled the tassel and it made the bell ring. $40 is a good price for a 1960s or 70s one like this one is. They made kits and you could make them, but Victorian ones sell for about $150 to $175. So it's an interesting thing to find. It walks, it barks, its tail wags, its head moves, and it does something else really clever, I guess. I can't imagine my mom letting me have this. I can only imagine what the mess was after Pee-Pee Puppy walked across the floor. Well, we've got a big case of 1950s tin toys here to look at, and then it will be time to head down the road to our next antiquing adventure, but it's been great being with you. I was glad to find a couple new places in Clarksville that I hadn't shown you before. We will be back with more adventures. In the meantime, check me out in the social media and the links in the description that you see. I've got memberships, I do appraisals, there's all sorts of fun things that we can do together on this channel, so check it out and we'll see you soon from somewhere else in the world of antiques and vintage. Thank you so much for joining us, and bye-bye for now. Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media daily posts and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at The Antique Nomad. Bye for now.